And welcome into the Candidates Forum. I'm your host today, Matt Pitta. Thanks for being with us. We're right in the middle of the political season here on Cape Cod. A couple of interesting races that are underway. One of the races that's been garnering a lot of attention is for the state committee persons for both the man and woman here on Cape Cod for the district, which is basically the Cape and Islands senatorial district. We're going to learn more about that seat here today on our forum with the incumbent state committeeman from that district, from Yarmouth Port, Fran Manzelli. Fran, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you.
Thanks for being here today.
Glad to be here.
So this seat's interesting. You know, we're in the political season, presidential politics, local politics, state reps, all that. But this race is getting a lot of attention. A lot of people say, well, what is this seat all about? What is a state committee person's seat? So that's probably the best place to start with this. For you to just tell us, what is exactly a state committee person?
Okay. There are 40 state committee men and 40 state committee women in Massachusetts. We represent the state senate district, and I represent Cape and the Islands with the exception of Sandwich, Bourne, and Falmouth. The state committee, basically the major job is to help elect Republicans, is to recruit candidates and work very hard, and that's what we do. I've been 10 years as a state committee man, and that means I've been to Boston 40 times and been to tons and tons of Republican town committee meetings. That's really very exciting for me, is to be able to go to town meetings and talk with the chairs and help them with ideas and brainstorm for them, give them ideas about running scholarship funds and those kind of things. So it's a job that really basically is fundamentally to elect Republicans on the Cape.
So your district mimics the Cape and Islands State Senatorial District,
Exactly.
which is Mashpee Provincetown, both
Exactly.
islands.
Right.
So in terms of what kind of a day-to-day, month-to-month role is in this position, what is it that you're doing to, as you said, basically recruit candidates and support the Republican Party platform?
Correct. I frequently talk with the town chairs and frequently talk about with the candidates. I go to the Mass Victory headquarters when they have the headquarters and spend a lot of time there helping the candidates, passing out literature, making telephone calls, working for the people as they can, giving them bumper stickers and that kind of stuff. So it's a pretty busy job. Some town committees meet every month and some meet 2 or 3 times a year. And so we have 20 towns in our district, because that includes, there are 6 towns in Martha's Vineyard. So it's a big district, but it's a great job. It's very satisfying. I'm really happy that 4 out of 5 state reps on the mainland of Cape Cod are Republican, and 6 county people are Republican. So I think it's a good district to be in. And when you consider Massachusetts, it's so blue. That statistic that I just said really is terrific.
So when you look at the Cape from one end to the other, it does, as you point out, compared to most other regions, has a fair number of Republicans. So how many years now in the office, Fran?
I've been 10.
10 years now. So looking for another term, and in terms of the election cycle, it's a little bit different than a traditional election cycle. Correct. As well, right? How does that work?
Well, every 4 years, on the first Tuesday of March, there is a primary for president, and there's an election for state committee man, state committee woman, and town committees. So when you go to vote in Howard, you will vote for president, town committee man, town committee woman, and the Howard town committee members.
So in your race, the winner is the finalist.
It's the finalist.
You don't have to go to a September primary and then the general election, right? So it's a little bit different.
It's different this year. Every 4 years, this happens.
Right. So I think that's important for people to understand that when they're going to go to vote in March, that this is your only chance to vote for this position.
Correct.
You're not going to have a chance to say, well, I'll wait it out and I'll vote for Fran or whomever coming up in September or November. Correct. So one chance. So you need to get. That's why you want to get the word out about this, right?
That's what we're trying to do.
So over your past 10 years, how would you rate the track record of success in adding Republicans to the legislative ranks on the Cape and Islands?
Well, I think we've done really well. We have 2 new state committee people, state rep people, Tim Whalen and Bill Crocker, and they were formerly Democratic seats. So it's been successful. When you look at the red color in the Cape, it's great, and I'm very happy to see the color red.
The second Barnstable seat was a big pickup.
Yes.
Off the top of my head, I don't remember, but I know it's been held by a Democrat for a very long time.
Yes.
What was the key to taking seats like that and turning that one? Also, Tim Whalen's seat, had Republicans in the past. The most recent incumbent prior to Tim had been a Democrat. So what was your strategy in your position to turn those seats to your party?
Well, the good news about Will Crocker's seat is that he has a lot of good workers, and it was unusual for a Republican to pick up a seat in a presidential year. Usually the more people come out, the more Democratic it is. So that was a major success. And Will and Judy worked very, very hard, and we're pleased that they won.
So, and again, a race like this, usually, frankly, somewhat of an under-the-radar political seat that people don't necessarily know a lot about. This race this year is getting some attention. What sets you apart from your opponent in this race when it comes to either your experience, your background, your ability to get Republicans elected? What would you say is setting you apart?
Well, there are several things. One is experience, dedication, passion, enthusiasm. I'm also president of the Cape Cod Republican Club, and I've been about 14, 15 years at that club. And when I first started, there were like 85 members. Now there are close to 500, so we're pleased with that. And when I moved to Yarmouth, I went to a meeting one time at the Yarmouth Town Committee, and there were only a couple of people there. So I said, we have to change this. And now, if you're a Republican voter in Yarmouth on March 3rd, you'll have a whole slate of people to run for. So I'm pleased that we did that. We worked hard to get that done. We have a great number of board members who are really helping us with that. Miriam Marasco, Dick Neese, and George Coppola, they helped make that done.
You're watching the Candidates Forum. I'm your host, Matt Pitta. Fran Manzelli is the guest today. He is the incumbent state committeeman for the Cape and Islands District. Election day is
Tuesday, March 3rd.
So in this state, you said it earlier, Fran, it's a blue state. You know, we like to characterize everything in society, right? So you're blue or red, and people will say Massachusetts, we'll say, is the bluest of the blue, perhaps, when it comes to representation between Democrats and Republicans. So what have been the challenges over the past 10 years that you had to face, either overcome, either challenges you're still facing, to get Republicans into some of these seats? What are those challenges, considering the backdrop of Massachusetts?
Well, my first challenge happened many, many years ago when my brother Bob was a selectman, and he decided to run for state rep. And he asked me to be his campaign manager. And I said, wow, I just graduated from Boston College, just got out of school, and he said, you're my campaign manager, and you never say no to an older brother.
Sure.
And we were in a very heavily Democratic district, and we won. A Republican beat a Democrat in a Democratic district, and so that really energized me and began me on the path to helping Republicans get elected. It is difficult in Massachusetts, but we can do it.
So I've covered politics for a long time, Fran, 30 years or so in Massachusetts, and a lot of that on the Cape. And one thing we do see on the Cape is that real strong partisan divide, right, that we are seeing in some places really doesn't happen on the Cape. You have been able to elect 3 Republicans since you've been in office. One of them was the Plymouth Barnstable seat, but still involved with that. Will Crocker's seat and Tim Whalen's seat. So those reps, in addition with the Democrats that are on the Cape, seem to work a whole lot better together, right, than other areas where we're so divided right now. And we're seeing a lot of that in our politics. How is it that you've been able to, you know, really bring people together and make sure that you get Republicans elected to office?
Well, I'm very pleased the way our state reps are working. They are people who work together. They work as a team. Sometimes they sponsor the same bills together, and that includes Dave Vieira too, and Randy Hunt. They are also good state committee people, and they reach across the aisle occasionally, and they're not blind with ideology.
So as you go out over the next couple of days, what's the message you're delivering? How do you tell voters what the position is and energize them to go out and vote? You know, you've got a couple of weeks here to go, so what's the strategy?
Well, there are a couple of ways. One is making telephone calls, and we do have a system set up that we're calling people who have voted in Republican primaries in the past. And of course, another way is to go to the town committee meetings and talk to them and encourage them to go out. And a third way would be mailing, and shows like this.
Right. So 10 years in the seat, you've had a lot of success. During your tenure, the region has seen 3 Republican additions to your district and then the Plymouth Barnstable district through Vinnie DiMacedo. Some people may say, well, you know, you've been successful. Something like 30% of the seats you were able to flip. You know, I've had my run, right? So what is motivating you to keep going? You know, you're not done yet, basically, right?
I'm not done yet. Well, as I said before, when a Republican wins an election, I get very energized and I get very happy and feel very good about it. And we do this without pay. We do it because we love the Republican Party. We love the candidates we have, and they're all top-notch. They're all classy. It's easy to work for that group, and it's fun. And as a retired person, I have the energy and the passion and the time to do all this.
Did you say it's unpaid?
Yes.
So you do all this work for nothing?
Yes.
So that's dedication right there to the job, right? I mean, you're not getting anything in return.
No pay.
Right?
No pay. No pay for all 3 jobs.
Right. Interesting. So when you're out there recruiting, right, do you try to actively recruit somebody to run, or do you hear, hey, listen, I hear Joe or Mary is interested in running? So take us into that process of how somebody in your position, how a committee person goes about going out there and attracting candidates.
Well, I do a lot of stuff. When I go to town, Republican town committee meetings, I talk to people. Is there anybody interested that you know in town? I was approached last night by 15 young 18-year-olds from Sandwich High School. They have a Republican club in high school, which is unheard of. Mm-hmm. And so one of those kids is going to be a state rep someday, I'm sure, or a state senator. I mean, they're young, smart kids. And
maybe president.
Maybe, who knows? That's right. But they have the passion. Think of a 17-year-old kid with that kind of energy and that kind of passion. So
I'm glad you mentioned the fact that you were talking to kids at Sandwich High School, because I was wondering how you go about trying to energize the youth of our community. We hear that young people are apathetic, maybe they don't go vote. You know, we are seeing in some quarters maybe they are energized in this current election cycle. So is there a different way to try to energize youth? Because that's really, it's your farm team, right? I mean, you need to go find the farm team. You know, Red Sox have Pawtucket, soon to be Worcester, but they have a farm team. Right. So you need a farm team. So what's the message you say to those young men and women?
Well, the good news is that last year, because we had so many new members and we had raised so much money, the Cape Cod Republican Club decided to do a scholarship for people leaving high school going on to college. And we sent applications to 19 different guidance counselors in the Cape, the private public schools. And we had 34 young people apply. And we gave out 5 scholarships. And I invited them all to the annual meeting. We have an annual meeting in May where we elect officers, and Governor Baker came to this one. And I brought them all down to the meeting. I comped their dinner, and of course that made them happy. But when you reach out, and Howard is doing the same thing, they have a scholarship fund going. So that's the way I'm encouraging town committee people to reach out to young people, and hopefully we'll bring some new young blood into our party.
So is there a message you try to convey to them? You have to explain to them why should they care, right? That's what I always see when you're talking to young people about why should they care about politics? Why should they care about getting involved? Why should they care about getting behind you?
Well, if you look at what's happening nationally and somewhat locally, that division needs to be closed a little bit and encourage them to work together to help our people grow, help our government grow, provide people with the services they need, and reduce taxes, all that stuff.
So again, a couple of quick moments we have left. What's the strategy moving forward, Fran? And then tell us where people can find out more about your campaign, either through your website, social media, etc.
Good. Well, I'm happy that you invited me to speak here today. Surely. It's a pleasure. I'm located in Yarmouth Port. I live in Kingsway. People can call me. I have a Facebook page, and I respond to every single call I get. And I welcome anyone who would like to come help. We had a wonderful kickoff, and tons of people showed up, and so we're on a roll. And I think that we're working hard and want to bring good wisdom and judgment to the welfare of the Republican Party.
And you want them to vote on?
I want them all to vote on Tuesday, March 3rd.
Fran, thanks so much. Best of luck, and thanks for being here on today's Candidates Forum. We'll see you on the campaign trail.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for being with us today on the Candidates Forum.